Hello and Happy New Year! My name is Vilma and I am a knitter from Finland, and here on my channel I make videos about my knitting projects and my progress as a knitter. And today I want to share my current projects as well as some of my thoughts and ideas for myself for this year, considering knitting and crafts, of course. So it's been a while since I made a video the last time, so for my finished objects I actually don't have any of them to show you because they were all gift knits that I gave for friends and family on Christmas. So let me think if I remember everything I made. I made 2 hats, one for my mother and then one for charity. I made my dad a pair of socks, and then I made little ornaments for my friends. Those were the tiny tree ornaments by Summer Lee. It's a free pattern on Ravelry. And well, the good thing of course is that I finished everything on time, which is why I don't have them with me anymore. But the bad thing is that now that I already gave them away like over a week ago, I have a bit of a hard time even remembering if I have anything I want to say about them. Yeah, well, the one thing I could say about maybe the socks, the tiny tree socks by Summer Lee, is that I made them I made the striped ones and then the ones with the lice pattern. And so then I did the afterthought heel for all of those socks. And the afterthought heel has the ending, or you graft the heel together at the end with Kitchener stitch. And personally, Kitchener stitch is one of the few techniques that I still struggle with, and I feel like mine often ends up looking kind of ugly. I think I do it too tightly. And so, learning from my mistakes, I tried to do it more loosely and then kind of tighten the stitches at the end to make it look as undetectable as possible. And for 2 of the socks that I made the heel using the Jamieson and Smith Shetland wool, and then for the other 2 I used a random superwash scrap yarn that I have lying around. And the superwash yarn was it was so much easier to do the Kitchener stitch with, because with the Jamieson and Smith wool, which is a more rustic yarn, I was really quite struggling with the method that I tried to do of making it loosely and then kind of pulling on the stitches to make them tighter, because the yarn is so sticky that the stitches wanted to be in the form that I had created them in, and when I started pulling the yarn, I felt at points that if I just pulled it, it would either break or not move. So maybe for some other people who are not the best at doing Kitchener stitch, I would recommend a more slippery yarn, definitely. I had such an easier time with that one. Other thoughts about my finished objects. The hat I made for my mom was great. It fit her and she liked the color. The socks I made for my dad, also a success. They also fit him and he liked them and everything. So yeah, overall I'm very happy with the gift knits that I made this year. Then, before I go into my whips, I was so excited to talk about my finished objects that I forgot to mention what I'm wearing. I'm wearing the Rydal sweater by Mary Wallin. This one I knit, I think, in 2022. And I have talked about this sweater in a previous video already, so I won't do it now. And then I'm wearing a different Mary Wallin design on my head. This is the Tarn Tam. It's also from her Cumbria book, like the sweater. And this one I finished in 2023. Let me see if I can show the back a little. And usually I don't wear this tam indoors, but I have been wearing it outside a lot lately, and I wanted to wear it for this video because it's something that I've knit and I wear a lot, but otherwise I wouldn't get a chance to really show it off. So I decided to do that today. And for this tam, I do want to say, because I remember seeing in some projects on Ravelry people saying that they felt that this was a bit snug on them. For me, I match the gauge, Mary Wallin's gauge, so I didn't do any modifications for this one. And my head circumference is 22 inches, if yes, I do remember. And for me, this is the smaller size, and it fits very comfortably. I can definitely, oh yeah, even get my hand there. So if you meet the gauge and you are that size, that I think the smaller size is intended to as well, I don't think you should have any problems. So that is my experience with this pattern. Then, to move on to my whips, I am going to continue with Mary Wallin, because my longest going whip is the Kerry's Slipover, also from the Cumbria book. I do have some progress on this one, but it's not really the most exciting progress, because I still only have the back piece, and that is because I decided that I want to weave in all of the ends on this one before I cast on the front piece. And that's what I have been doing. I have woven in already all of the ends on this side. As you can see, it looks pretty clean, even on the shoulder and everything. And I have started on this one at the bottom here. I've gotten about that far. So yeah, it's good progress, but not really the most interesting to show or even to talk about. So there's that. Then my second whip is my Tampere sweater by Anna Strandberg. Let me get it over here. So on this one, even in my last video, I had completed the body already, and I started working on the first sleeve. So the stitch marker here shows the beginning of the sleeve, and that is how far I have gotten. I actually ran out of yarn. I'm using the Jamieson and Smith 2-ply jumper weight in the optical white, so the bleached white color. I have ordered more of it already, but I don't have it yet. So this one is kind of hibernating at the moment because of that. But yeah, the sleeve so far, I have just knitted straight, and my preferred tool for knitting sleeves are actually DPNs. I feel like this might be a bit of an unpopular opinion because at least on YouTube I feel like most knitters really don't like DPNs, or especially for sleeves. People prefer other tools, but I prefer DPNs. I think they are so useful and yeah, really nice. I'm a DPN fan. So yeah, not really that much to say about the Tampere sweater either, because yeah, working on a sleeve is it's just the sleeve. Not really, yeah, not that much to say about it. So those were pretty much my only active whips. Well, I do also have a tiny crochet update. I made just this one square, so it's pretty, but yeah, not really that much to say about this one either. But I do have a pretty exciting new cast on, which is the Soe sweater, also by Anna Strandberg. It was featured in the Line magazine a couple of winters ago. This is the number 16. And let me show a picture of the finished sweater. There. And I am using the recommended yarn and the recommended needles. The yarn is the, oh my goodness, I should have the label. I'm sorry, I have to look it up because otherwise I will mess up the name, I know it. The yarn is the Hjellholtz Uldspinderi Håndverksgarn. I believe it's a Danish yarn, and it's 100% wool. I believe it's, actually let me check now that I have it open here. It's a DK weight yarn. But as usual, I didn't meet the gauge for the sweater. My gauge is a bit tighter, so I have accommodated for that by adding more stitches. And here is what the sweater is looking like. This much of the sweater has already eaten up 2 hanks of the yarn, and I have actually just, as you can maybe see from here, that I have joined in the 3rd hank, which I have caked up, of course. And this is the light gray color, which is also used for the sample in the book because I really like it. So I have already separated for sleeves, as you can see, and now I'm just working on the body. Some of the design features that I really like about this sweater, first of all, of course, I like the tall collar and the way that you create the collar, and it's super stretchy. Of course, I'm not going to give away Anna Strandberg's secrets, but I think that the way she figured out how to make this really stretchy cast on, which looks like it already starts with the 2x2 rib, I think it was pretty clever. and definitely I think it's going to be very nice with the finished garment. Then of course the sweater has the main feature of the beautiful cables, which will continue down the sleeves. The cables are, I would say, moderately easy. I can memorize them pretty well, but I still like to look at the chart, well, almost every row, just to make sure that I'm not doing any mistakes. So in my opinion, it is something that at least I have to look at the chart for. I can't memorize it that well, but yeah, I can still knit it pretty confidently, and if you make some minor mistakes, they are not super visible. So yeah, maybe I wouldn't recommend this if you have never cabled and you feel a bit nervous about it. But if you have done some cables before, yeah, this is not too difficult. And then another design feature that I really like about this sweater is that you do this sort of ribbing for the underarm, which basically acts like a fake seam, because this is done in one piece, so you don't have any actual seams. So this creates a bit more structure, but visually I think it's also pretty beautiful and striking, so really, really clever from the designer, I think. And because it's, yeah, like I have worked it pretty far on the body already, I think next I'm going to try it on so you can see what it looks like on me. Okay, so there we go. I am knitting this sweater in the size 2, which is the size that I normally knit, and it should have about 15 centimeters of positive ease on me, which I think is happening. The collar is going to look, I mean, right now it looks like a pretty turtleneck type of collar, but I believe that when I have knit the sleeves should pull it a bit to create this wider type of look. And what else? Oh yeah, on Ravelry I saw in some project notes that some people felt that the short row shaping in the back wasn't enough, and there was this extra fabric kind of pouching up in the front, I believe a bit like this. But I can't really say much about that at this point. I think that I have to finish at least the body and preferably the sleeves too, to see how the fabric behaves on my body. And I haven't blocked this yet either. So yeah, still a lot of question marks, but at this point I am pretty happy with the fit and how it's working out. For the yarn, for me this is not too itchy, like the collar is against my neck and here it's on my bare skin on my chest. Yeah, it's not itching, it's pretty comfortable, but I have to say that overall I am not the most sensitive. I don't have that sensitive skin to rustic wools, so take that with a grain of salt if you know yourself to be more sensitive to wool textures. So yeah, this is the sew a sweater so far. So those were all of my current knitting projects. For the rest of the video, I want to talk a little bit about what I'm planning on doing in 2025 in my knitting world. I could separate my plans into 3 categories, which are planning, yarn, and patterns. Planning wise, this year I started my YouTube channel, and as a part of that I created my autumn knitting plans, which was a video and also very concrete plans for what I wanted to knit last autumn. Those plans were a bit ambitious because I'm still working on them in January. So for 2025, I definitely want to do seasonal knitting plans starting on spring, but I don't know yet if I want to aim to do them very realistically or more just dream knitting, but I want to do some sort of plans for sure, because I know already that I definitely get more motivated if I have some plans that are seasonal, and also that's definitely a way for me to really use my stash yarn, because otherwise if I don't have plans I very easily forget about my stash yarn. So yeah, having projects set out already that use them is very good for me personally. Then for yarn, the past year, 2024, I definitely tried to use up some of my stash yarn, and I definitely want to continue doing that. But as far as new yarn is concerned, I would like to try some more Finnish yarns this year. So yarns that are manufactured in Finland and preferably also use the local sheep breeds that we have. Because this year I realized that I haven't really used much Finnish yarns. I have used quite a lot of Shetland yarn and like the Mary Wallin British Breeds yarn and some other Nordic brands like Danish yarns. But yeah, I would like to try to use a bit more locally sourced yarns this year. And then finally for patterns, I have 2 points to keep in mind this year. The first one is I want to use patterns that I already own. I am definitely more pattern than yarn driven in my knitting, and because of that I have quite many knitting books and magazines, and I grabbed here just some of my, like, oh my goodness. For the patterns, I am definitely more pattern than yarn driven in my knitting, so I pick out a pattern first and then pick the yarn for the pattern and not the other way around. And because of that I own quite a lot of patterns. So this year I want to use the patterns that I already own. And here I have a pile of knitting magazines. These are all Linen magazines that I have bought, but I haven't knit anything from these. I have 5 magazines here. So I definitely want to prioritize these this year, because they all have patterns that I really like, but for one reason or another I just haven't knit anything from them. So that has to change. And the other thing considering patterns, that I want to do this year is that I would like to knit more slipovers, or vests. I started my first one this year, which was the Keris one, but obviously this one is really involved because of all the color work, and it's knit in pieces, so the weaving in the ends and everything. This has taken me a lot of time, just the back piece already, and it's still not finished. So yeah, I would like to get some more slipovers into my wardrobe, and I think the next ones I'm going to pick will be a bit quicker than Keris. But yeah, so those were all of my projects and all of my plans, and I would really like to know, what are you knitting on right now, and do you have any plans for this new year? And I wish you very happy knitting and hope to see you next time. Bye!